I got paralyzed from the neck down, and that's what ended my career. I even went through the offseason, trained to come back, worked out for a couple teams. The Packers wanted me to retire as a Packer, and I asked Ted Thompson to release me, and I knew something was wrong. Like, I knew my career was pretty much done, but God had a plan.
All right, we are back for another episode of Under the Number. Today, I'm joined by Terrence Murphy. I'm so fired up for this one. Terrence is the founder and CEO of Terrence Murphy Companies and the co-founder and managing partner of the recently announced Synergy Sports Capital alongside Reggie Bush. Terrence, thank you so much for doing this.
Good seeing you, bro. Excited to be here.
I mean, I'm so fired up. This is an episode that I've when we first spoke a few months ago, I was like, I need to find a way to get Terrence on the show, in part because you have one of the most remarkable personal stories I've ever heard. And so I need to focus on not talking very much during this podcast, and I need to listen. So tell us, who is Terrence Murphy?
Man, I would say in short, Terrence Murphy is a kid who grew up with a single mom in East Texas, the baby of older brothers and a sister. Came from a big family in the country, and just have a heart for people. I've always been, a driver and a leader, and I'm just passionate about relationships. I'm been married for 18 years, have 3 littles, and I'm just passionate about just life right now. Every day that you get a chance to be on top of the dirt and live, you got to take advantage. I'm a big dreamer. I'm a visionary. I'm a believer in Christ, and I'm just trying to be a steward of this time that I have and the gifts that I have and the relationships that I have. Because once the Lord calls me home, it's done.
Well, I think you have a very unique position when it comes to gratitude. Talk about your football career, the highs, the lows, and what came after.
Yeah, I was a quarterback my entire life. I had about 5 full academic offers because I was always a little different mentally, wired a little different. And then had about 25 D1 offers to play quarterback. And I just decided that I was going to bet on myself and play a position I've never played. And nobody saw the vision. Everybody thought it was the worst idea known to mankind. But R.C. Slocum at Texas A&M gave me a chance to try it, gave me number 5, and I left as the all-time leading receiver in the history of our university. So I had about 30 records that I set that had never been done in 100 years of football at Texas A&M. 2-time All-American, 2-time first-team All-Conference, 3-time academic All-Conference, and 2-time team captain. And so was really blessed, man. And then obviously went to the Packers, was in the Aaron Rodgers draft class, had a neck injury, retired, and then moved into investing.
Talk about the thoughts that rushed through your head after that neck injury, because that was not just a strained neck. That was not a small situation.
Yeah, I got paralyzed from the neck down temporarily, obviously, on Monday Night Football. And that's what ended my career. I even went through the offseason, trained to come back, worked out for a couple teams. The Packers wanted me to retire as a Packer. And I asked Ted Thompson to release me. And he was a great guy. Ted was like a very stoic personality. And I remember going in his office, he had tears in his eyes. And I knew something was wrong. Like, I knew my career was pretty much done. But God had a plan. I didn't make crazy NFL money. I didn't make second contract money. I think people get confused because they see where I'm at now. And they're like, this guy's invested in over 100 companies. He just launched a sports fund. He's doing that platform. He's investing in that. It's like, man, I really was a 22-year-old kid with a little seed capital and just had a passion to use my mind and just prayed that God give me a passion. And he showed me, real estate and entrepreneurship and financial literacy, and been on that journey ever since.
When we spoke a couple of months back, you told me that, so you talk about being a 22-year-old kid in the NFL, and this happens your rookie year, this injury.
Yeah.
Fast forward 8 years, and you were, correct me if I'm wrong, 30 years old, getting an offer from Berkshire Hathaway to buy your business.
Yep.
What happened? What transpired in those years between the injury, retirement, and something like that happening? Because that is insane.
A lot. Berkshire Hathaway was getting ready to move into the service industry. They had just acquired some big real estate companies that they were rolling up, and they were looking to partner with independent firms in the fastest growing, region in America, which is the Sun Belt. And I was one of the top independent real estate brokers in the nation at the time with my startup company TM5, and they made me an offer to acquire it, roll it up, and then I would become one of their brokers. And so, ultimately, it was that's what introduced me into M&A, into venture capital, into like, oh wow, you create something that people want to invest in and partner with. And that's what ended up giving me the introduction to I want to become my own Berkshire in my own way. So I want to invest and be a venture capitalist, be an M&A guy, be in private equity. And I've been on that journey for 21 years. And people think about like Synergy Sports Capital, we just announced a couple of weeks ago, it's our inaugural fund. So I've, been a GP in a couple funds. So I'm not a first-time fund manager. I'm an emerging fund manager. And I like to make sure that people know that. But yeah, it's the same passion that I have with that, being able to collide all the world, sports, private equity, real estate, development, VC, all of it, man.
Talk about the specific thesis behind Synergy Sports Capital. I know it's particularly aligned with some of these emerging leagues, and also talk about the overlap with the real estate opportunity that in some instances really comes with it hand in hand.
Yeah, no brainer. When you think about a lot of the big guys, they're upstream. I can name them all. They're all focused on Big Four, Big Five. We want to be lower middle market. I've talked to a lot of those guys. Since we made the introduction and announced our fund, a lot of them have reached out to me personally, Terrence. When we get deals that don't fit our thesis or might be a little smaller or down the stream, we're going to send them to you. If you got opportunities that are in the Big Four, Big Five that you don't like, send them upstream to us. So there's a cohesive relationship in PE. We're not all competing because we co-invest. There's ways to collaborate. So the thesis is this simple. Synergy Sports Capital will focus on investing in emerging leagues and teams with real estate development opportunities, obviously stadium districts, practice facilities, mixed-use commercial projects, but we also will invest in sports adjacent businesses. So late-stage VC, and then more in the M&A where it's the 1 to 3 million EBITDA multiple opportunities.
Back to what you said about your own personal Berkshire Hathaway. You go on that TM5 website and you see billions of dollars in real estate transactions completed, all these consumer brand investments, and so sports, the early dabbling that you were doing in sports personally. Even like huge technology winners, like you casually have Grok in your portfolio, which congratulations, by the way. What makes you a good investor? Like what is it about you that has given you a good eye and obviously an earned level of access to be seeing these opportunities in the first place?
The thing I learned early on at 22 years old when I kind of got thrown to the wolves, right? Because you know how the game is. When you're done, everybody moves on to the next athlete or the next draft pick. So I was forced. I would say, put me in the desert, I'm going to find my way to the water. And that's what I did in business. I figured out how to underwrite these deals, how to build the relationships, how to build the deal flow, and then how to execute. Because there's a lot of talkers, there's a lot of movers and shakers, but who can actually execute and close the deal? Whether it's a real estate deal, an M&A deal, a VC deal, or a sports investment deal. So even like now, people are like, well, why sports? I've been investing in sports for the last 5-6 years. I'm like, well, what's your deep track record? No one has a deep track record in sports. Everybody just got a chance to start investing around 2020, 2019, 2020.
Right.
So, have the same track record as ever of the big guys, right? So, yeah, that was the thought process. And really just how I'm able to get these deals is something that I take pride in. When I put my name on something, I'm going to do it with the same tenacity, integrity, passion, and consistency that I built my career with. The only reason, and I say this respectfully, that people don't know me as an NFL great is because of my injury. If I don't get injured, I'm on that Super Bowl team with my roommate, Aaron Rodgers, with my good friend, Nick Collins, and I'm in the Pro Bowl a couple times or more. It's no brainer. But that wasn't part of my journey. And now I'm creating my own Super Bowl, my own Pro Bowl in business and in life.
Well, you can see that hunger has been channeled in other areas.
Sure.
Talk about Reggie Bush. Tell me, how did you guys get to know each other? How did this come to be? What is his superpower as a businessman?
Yeah, so Reggie and I are very unique as athletes. Before it became a thing, as they call it, the athlete, it was quarterback or it was receiver, or you played one position, that's what you did. But Reggie obviously won the Heisman Trophy, one of the most electric players of all time. I got him in my top 5 list for sure, probably top 3, honestly, with Cam Newton, guys like that were just game changers on offense.
Yeah.
that just did different stuff.
Yeah.
There was a time my junior year, Reggie's sophomore year, kickoff return average, yards per touch, yards per game. Me, him, Darren Sproles, guys like that, we were all top 5, top 10 in the nation in college. So we knew of each other. We didn't know each other personally, but you kind of
you got to pay a little bit of attention.
You know guys, you know what guys are. And then we got connected after ball, and just his passion for emerging leagues, even what he's doing with the Athletes Tour, and just that consistency. And we started storytelling, and we have very similar experiences. And we were both number 5. Like we're literally like brothers from another mother. So there's just a lot of consistency there. So that's the reason. Because people say, why Reggie? Terrence, we know you know a lot of athletes. It's just his passion, his integrity, his work ethic. Just all those things is why he was the first athlete partner that I chose to be a part of Synergy Sports Capital. I'm in talks with other athletes, but I'm just being really strategic, not only with my partners, but with the capital that I'm bringing in, because that's key to PE, being able to execute.
You mentioned this earlier. One, you guys are mid fundraise for this, but when you say sports adjacent businesses, can you give us shed a little bit more light? What are maybe some examples, or where are you looking when it comes to that?
You mentioned it earlier, right? Grok was one of my early investments. It's obviously getting a lot of attention now with the $20 billion NVIDIA merger acquisition. We don't know what to call it, right?
Yeah.
Was just talking to my fund team about that deal and kind of how everything's going to shake out for us personally. And then Ghost Robotics was the one that, I invested in early. It was a 10X return, sold for $500 million, I think $400 million to a Japanese company. So I have this track record of just underwriting deals, looking at deals. And really, I tell people all the time, sometimes like some of the top things that people are looking for when you look at private capital, family office, LPs, PE firms, early 2000s, it was the dot-com boom, right? We were in high school, middle school, right? Then it was the real estate, kind of syndicators. And then it was the startup, Silicon Valley. Then it was the crypto boom. Now it's the emerging manager boom. Capital is looking for outsized returns for people who have a track record, who can return alpha on alternative investments. And that's who I am. That's our focus.
How is this sports opportunity resonating with your real estate pals? Are they as on fire about it as you are? Or is it hit or miss depending on who you're talking to?
I think everybody's excited about sports, not only because it creates another level of pride, right? Like if you and I go roll up, let's just say, a wastewater company. Not that we're not proud of it. We'd be proud of it if it's doing 5-10 million in EBITDA, no brainer. Hell, we're doing 1 million in EBITDA. But it's different with sports. There's like that collegiate pride, like I own Athletico Dallas. I own Love Volleyball, Salt Lake City. I own Texas Rangers Pickleball. I own Third Coast Renegades Sports Fishing Championship team. Those are just 4 of my teams. There's more, but it's like there's a pride that goes with that. And being able to watch it on ESPN or Hulu or Disney or SportsCenter, those are teams that I'm a majority owner of, and I get to watch it on TV and go to the games. That's that outlier, along with the 3, 5, 7, 8, 10X return opportunities. I'll say this. The commissioner of NWSL just said it best in the interview. In 2021, you can get an NWSL team for $2 to $5 million. In 2025, 2026, they just sold a 17 franchise for $165 million.
Was that in Atlanta?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you tell me, wouldn't it be cool to own a couple of those early NWSL teams, go to the games? Oh, but also we had a 10 to 20X return, right? So it's like you're able to do all those things.
Talk about 2 subcategories, women's sports and youth. What is your outlook? Why are people's eyes opening, and what took so long?
Yeah.
And maybe what's a key differentiator? Because some people are all in on women's sports. Some are much more focused on the youth ecosystem. Talk about that.
Yeah, women's sports, it was time. It was well overdue. I think the storytelling that's happening, because we're in the information age, obviously we transition out of the industrial age into the information age. And I think the stories, the Caitlin Clarks of the world, those storylines are what's pushing forward.
Yeah.
I think NWSL is doing a great thing too with the documentaries. They're telling the Trinity Rodman story. It's a great story. It's being told, it's being marketed. That's what's pushing women's sports, because the talent has always been there. I've been a fan in women's sports my entire life. My closest sibling was my sister. I was the baby. I got drugged along to all those practices and those games.
Yeah.
And then my roommate dated one of the top soccer players at Texas A&M on the women's team. And I remember going to a Texas A&M UNC game when UNC was the number one team in the nation. Texas A&M was top 10. And there was 10,000 people at that game. This was like 2006. 10 to 12,000 people at that game. And back then I knew women's sports was like the next thing. It's just only a matter of time.
And how about youth?
Youth, no brainer. The reason that youth is going to blow up, because like you and I growing up, they didn't have all the club teams and tournaments. I think there's a balance. As a parent, I think at times they're overdoing it a little bit. But at the same time, the kids could be playing video games and doing nothing.
That's true.
So getting them off the couch and getting them out there, the reason the youth is blowing up is just the reach. My wife said it best at the Love Volleyball tournament, the Triple Crown. 30,000 people, I believe, were at the tournament for my daughter's volleyball with Love B. And she was like, oh, LeBron James was here with his daughter. And Steph Curry was sitting next to me in the other court.
Wow.
It's like, there's a lot happening right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Rewinding a little bit, tell me about the Stillwater Capital days and how that kind of allowed you to get some exposure into this world.
It's one of the things I realized. It's why I try to respond to everybody, especially athletes. I try to respond to all the emails, all the text messages. It's the reason that I'm passionate about mentoring guys, because you never know what that one little bit, that one conversation or that one response to an email or that one thing that you say to somebody that can inspire them to be the next great whatever. And I always honor Stillwater Capital. Robert Elliott, Aaron Sherman, Rich Cody, they're all Aggies. They just did a $1.5 billion, PGA headquarters project in Frisco. And I'm proud to say that I was one of their first investors in LPs in 2005 and 6.
Wow.
So that was 20 years ago that I invested in their firm. And they just gave me, an opportunity to sit in some of those meetings, to go on some of those construction sites and see some of those projects. And that's what my inspiration to T and 5 was. It's like, you know what? I'm going to take the capital that I have left and I'm going to go execute on this idea and try to do it on my own in College Station. It's one of the smartest things I've ever done.
Back to something you mentioned about the NWSL front and what's helping kind of drive some success there is the storytelling and the media angle.
Yep.
How much are you paying attention to the shifting world of media in sports and how much impact that can have on getting a league off the ground from scratch? There was an opportunity that we talked about a couple months ago where this one group is getting involved on the cap table simply because of their media expertise. And they know that they can help this thing engage that next generation fan better than anyone else.
For sure. I think it's been really cool because people always ask me like, okay, how do you, when you think about your thesis as soon as you Sports Capital, how do you plan on getting returns to your LPs? And I tell them all the time, the media and their enterprise value are like the 1-2 punch that people have been using. We're deploying other opportunities with rolling up some of the late stage growth equity opportunities, obviously from a real estate standpoint, cost segregation, development fees, creating income producing assets, blah, 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 right? So I think when you think about media, I think the storytelling is important, but like right now at Sports Fishing Championship, we're working on a media deal as we speak. Love Volleyball, we're working on a media deal as we speak. So I think, with AI now, with some of the network, the one thing you can't replicate, and you will never be able to replicate, is sports. It's always going to be organic. And the thing I love about the fans, it's their opportunity to connect. When you and I get to a game, soccer, racing, football, we don't care about ethnicity or religion. We just want our team to win. And we are engaged in that experience. And that's something you can't replicate.
So you have a very different, you don't match the classic caricature of like the early stage investor sitting in Silicon Valley in San Francisco or Palo Alto or Atherton. The first Zoom call I ever did with you, you're sitting there on your several 100-acre ranch outside of College Station.
Yeah.
Tell me about your lifestyle. And also just one note on that. I think that it was such a memorable first call that I had with you. Yeah. And I have to think that your organic story, authenticity, and how memorable you are as a person has to help you quite a lot in the work that you do.
Yeah, like I said earlier, people are looking for emerging managers. with unique backgrounds that are equipped to execute. And you look at, the transactions that I've been involved with in PE, venture, real estate, I'm an executor. I'm going to stay in the fight. And like you said on my first call, I was at my ranch and I have to be myself. Everybody else is already taken. Yeah, I got a degree from A&M. I did some post-grad stuff. I'm actually in classes right now at Harvard.
Wow.
But I have my own unique background for a reason. So I want that to be my, not be my kryptonite, but be my story and be my value proposition. Because you can look at this guy and say, okay, he's done this many deals. He's invested this much capital. He's done, for 21 years, I've looked at 100 deals a week. That was my KPI. It's like getting up and reading the Bible and working out in the morning. I try to look at 100 deals a week. And that's across the board. Stock, real estate, PE, venture, sports. And I've done that for a long time. So I'm able to really have you can't put it on a spreadsheet. The feel that I have, it's like a quarterback, right? My roommate, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, his talents may be slowing down, but the amount of times he's seen reps and Tom Brady's seen reps, I took that same mentality and done it in business.
Yeah, that's tough to catch up.
It's tough for people to catch up.
You've been a broker, you've been a developer, you've been an investor, you're currently fundraising. Sometimes I hear from people talk about all these different endeavors that you have in business. And sometimes people will say, everything is sales. Everything comes back to sales.
Yeah.
Do you believe that's true? And if so, what has been your greatest skill? What is your greatest skill as a salesperson?
That's a great thought process. I would say everything is sales, relationships, and execution. And I trained salespeople for 15 years. I was literally a coach. I trained people. And I think because if you're just selling people on stuff, they can feel that. And you can see it a mile away. We call it commission breath. But for me, it's like having a true value proposition. I call it your UVP, unique value proposition, and telling your story, and then being able to build a relationship and then execute it. That's the difference. Because people hear sales like, I'm gonna sell you on this, I'm gonna sell you on that. And they try to pitch you. I don't want to pitch anybody. I want to tell them my vision, and I want them to align with what my vision is. Even when you and I talked, right? It sounds crazy. Like, okay, you're going to do a private equity company, a platform, there's multiple funds doing emerging leagues and teams with real estate development and sports adjacent businesses. It sounds like a lot, but then when you start seeing me execute on it and you see the announcement and you see the reaction in the market, it's like, okay, it's like an Uber moment. That makes sense. Like, why didn't nobody go downstream? It makes so much sense. That's the thought process.
Final question. Clearly, you have a broad skill set, and we talked about sales just there, but what is your number one superpower?
My number one superpower, I would say, because I've had so many reps. For 21 years, I've looked at hundreds of deals a week. It's my KPI. I have a vast network of people that can truly produce off-market opportunities because they've seen me execute. I can't tell you how many business brokers that I've came in as a third buyer and got the deal closed. And from that point on, that whole entire company that had deals called me first because I executed. And maybe some of the guys before me might have had more money, more this, more that. But because I executed on it, those business brokers, those attorneys, those lawyers, those PE firms were like, hey, when this guy puts his name on something, he's going to find a way to get it done. And that's my superpower.
Do what you said you were going to do. I think that's good advice.
For sure. Doesn't mean it's not going to, the deal's not going to pivot a little bit, but stay true to it and then communicate and execute.
Well, Terrence, I wish we had more time. I could go Joe Rogan length with you, but we got to wrap it up here. I hope that we can do another episode some point down the road, but thank you so much.
Proud of you, brother.
Thanks.
Thank you.